Hello, how you doing? It's been quite a while since I've made a board related video, so I've had a couple of discussions with the lads on the forum there on the Facebook page. Canaries, Budgies, Native, and Foreign Finches Ireland, or ERA. I've become one of the moderators recently, thanks to John Rankin. So the membership team on that for moderators and admin is myself, John Rankin, Mark Kelly, Mort, and Paddy Stack. Between us all, we've covered most of our bases with regards to the boards that we keep. I like doing videos. I've done them over the last couple of years for breeding diaries more than anything else. So I'm gonna do a breeding diary and a board keeping diary for the next course of the next year or so. I've got some interesting topics, I think, and if you have any suggestions, by all means, drop them in, and we'll cover some videos. So the first video today is going to be on books. Types of books you should be looking for, and where to get books for good information on the types of boards you're looking for. I'll do another one now later on during the week at some stage over the weekend on feeding, specifically looking at wild foods for the native finches that we keep. And then another video at a later stage about stock, where to get your stock boards, who to buy from, what type of boards to be looking for, what to look out for on a board when you're buying stock boards. And we will go through all that. So first thing, I suppose, really, when you're looking at boards is what type of boards do you want to keep? That's just the starting question. So me personally, I've kept pretty much everything from birds of prey. I've got some owls and hawks and stuff. First board I ever got was a budgie, so some books on those. Canaries and so on. But over the last, I'm 35 now. She's way too many years and I can't remember. So when I was 13, I got that book out of the library in Finglas when I was still in school. Frank Meaden wrote it, and it's a book that I go to every single year. I mean, if you look at the pages on it, I've read it, I don't know how many times, cover to cover. And each section covers off the birds that we have in aviculture. It covers everything from soft bills to carrion crows and big birds of prey, anything that's relatively native, but it does focus mainly on the smaller birds like goldfinches, siskins, linnets, and so on. Housing, the old ways of making food for the birds and cultivating worms and all that type of stuff. It's all in there, and how to do it properly is there as well. So that's the book that I've gone to time and again because natives are my thing. Now, I'm by no means an expert. I'll never claim to be an expert. I'll never, nor have I ever. But I would say, I suppose, I would specialise in an area. Not that I'm good at it. It's just that's the area that I focus my time on. And bullfinches seem to be the birds for me. It's just the way they are. They're my dad's favourite bird, and they're my favourite bird as well. I have tried goldfinches. I've bred canaries. Colour canaries are something else that I really enjoy. But in doing all that, you need to come across some really good books that you kind of go back to, and these are some other really good books as well. So cage hybrids. Now these are really old books. Charles Hulton, I think, was first published in 18 odd, and then Vav Carr, whatever that guy's name is, was published a little while later. But again, most of them are written in Old English, and they're written in the style of, some of them are written about, before the ban on catching birds was in there. So there is terminology in there you need to kind of just might be mindful of. You're not supposed to be catching birds, and just avoid those. The revised edition doesn't have anything to do with catching or trapping and that type of stuff. But they do show you how to prepare a bird for breeding and how to prepare two separate species of bird for breeding in order to try and get a hybrid. And this year I'm going to try myself to get red poll bullfinch. I'm going to try a goldfinch bullfinch and a goldfinch red poll. If I get my hands on a crossbill cock, I'll also try a crossbill to a bully hen as well. They're the ones I'm going to try on, as well as obviously the natives and Siberians as well. They'll be my focus for next year, with some colour canaries that I'll be picking up hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So with the books that we have, right, when we look at the types of birds that we're keeping, we look at are they going to be standard, just plain colours, or are we going to go for mutations? And if you're going down the route of mutations, then you're going to need something like this. This book here has been out for a couple of years, The Fundamentals of Colour Genetics in Canaries for Reproduction and Control, by Octavio Perez Beto. Now, the thing of it is, with that book there, it's not just, I know it says canaries in the title, but it's not just about canaries, it's genetics in general, which is why it's quite good, and it goes in on a scientific level. So if you look at, a dominant factor bird, putting it to a recessive, whatever colour that may be, what the outcome will be, and what you'll need to breed out of your lines or breed into your lines in order to get the desired result, or then experimentation. So there's a couple of lads that do really well with experimentation in the colour canary world. John Graydon be one that I know he's very, very good at breeding canaries. He's done quite well with them for the last couple of years, but he'd have, I suppose, a scientific approach to it, and that's where something like this comes in. It is fairly technical reading when it boils down to it. There's not a lot of scientific formula you need to familiarise yourself with, but at the end of the day, if you learn, you're interested in, you learn, it sticks in there, you're good to go. Another book that I thought was going to be better than it was, this isn't actually that good, The Colour Canary, or the Red Canary, pardon me. That's basically where the origins of the colour canary as a whole, so that's how this kind of came to be. It's an okay book. I wouldn't recommend it if you're just starting out. It basically starts off with how to take a white canary, a red siskin, and come out with the end result of a red colour canary. Yeah, I could take or leave it, to be quite honest. But going back to nature, I've had this again since I was 13 or 14. It's a book that I've always gone back to, especially if I'm looking at a new species of bird. So a couple of years ago I tried crossbills, and I'm trying my fucking hardest to get my hands on a pair or two pairs of pine grosbeaks. So when I do that, I try and figure out what the birds eat, what time of the year they eat it, and where they get it from. And the likes of these books here will help you, because they'll help you find the birds in the wild and see what they're doing and study them for a year or so beforehand. That's the way I've done it over the years. Very few people will do it that way, but that's the way I've done it. Also, some DVDs are pretty good as well. So British birds and their young. I think we should probably try and make some Irish birds and their young this year. Hinty hint hint. Just for the crack. But that's quite good. And then any of the Derek Old Note tapes, I've got the full series there as well on DVD. So what I'll do is, when the page is running its next competition, I'll donate a set of the DVDs to that fund, and I'll also donate a copy of the Colour Canary Fundamentals as well. At least that way, other people are getting their hands on the books and the videos, and they're getting the basics in two different formats. Some of the most important books you're going to keep over the course of holding boards or minding boards or keeping boards, whatever you want to call it, is your own notebooks. This one, and this is my newer one here for this year, and this is an older one again, but this one here, for instance, brings me back to 2017, which was the last time I kept boards, and I can tell that on Saturday the 10th of January, it was -2 that night, and it rose to a +3 that afternoon. It was damp, and then what the boards are fed, so plain canary mix to the natives, sunflower for the native bullies, and the greenies seem to enjoy some of the Perlin morbid. So again, there's pages and pages, and you can go on forever, but those are the types of notes that you keep. So when the breeding season does come back around, then you can see what was fed to what bird at what time to give it the condition or lack of condition. So again, they're good to be able to go back on. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So the next couple of videos will be going out on feeding. I am still building the aviaries at the moment, although my back is really bad at the moment, so I won't be finishing those anytime soon. I'm going to need some help. Just putting the cage fronts in really and getting the trays made, and then I can transfer my stock from the flights into the cages and quarters for next year. And then I'll do one on husbandry, how to keep the aviaries clean, I'll do one then on feeding. Again, I done one a couple of years ago on feeding, but I'll do a revised one again. And then stock selection. So how you're going to pick what bird to pair with what bird for the next coming season, how to pick what bird to hold on to and where to let go. And part of that genetics book there as well shows that the hen canaries and bullfinches, I adapted it for bullfinches, but I found it to be true on both of them. Certain species of bird or certain sexes of birds will have a certain trait thrown. So you'll find that a hen bullfinch that throws mainly hen bullfinches will be the bird to keep for the next year. And keep her chicks as well, because they'll throw more hens than cocks. And that, again, that's a fact that's been put out there from the books and study over the last couple of years. So it's something that we'll go into detail. But if you have any questions, let me know and drop me a message on this or on the Facebook page. We're all here to help, and that's where this is going to go. So hopefully we'll pick up a bit of momentum. As time goes on, I'll do a diary on a weekly basis just to say where we are with the birds, what's happening with them. And I'd like to try and maybe get some people over to my house to have a chat in my bird shed. And if we can get out to some of your lads' bird sheds as well and have I know we're on the lockdown with coronavirus and so on, but have a cup of tea and a chat like a proper birdman would, conversing with your friends. This is what I'm breeding, this is what I'm looking at, and this is the successes and failures we've had, and just compare notes. I think it'll help bring the conversation to a wider audience and hopefully bring some new blood into the hobby. So yeah, hopefully speak soon. Cheers.